The KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Friday. September the 29th. Good morning.
Mm-hmm.
I might be an Orioles fan, and we might have won 100 games, and we might be the AL East champions. And I'm not going to go on about it very long, but I just want to say 40 years in the making for my darling, my beloved brother Jim Gorman, who is watching with the Angels in the clouds above. Feeling pretty great about this. The entire Gorman family having a wonderful last 12, 15, 16 hours, whatever it is, because, my God, we've been waiting a while. So anyway, that's it. Let's move on. Twins, let's go. We still got business to take care of in the Twin Cities.
See it in the ALCS. I like this Twins team. They're getting hot at the right time. The pitching's starting to solidify. The bats are swinging. They're healthy.
I'm not laughing at what you're saying. I'm laughing at the absurdity that will be if the Orioles and the Twins play. I'll be insufferable. It'll be horrible. You will all ask me to stay off air. I'm just giving fair warning right now. I'm a logical, reasonable sports fan compared to a lot of guys. If the Vikings and the Titans play, my favorite football team, I'll be like, I just want a good game. I'll be thrilled if the Vikings win. It'll be great for the city. If the Orioles are playing the Twins, literally, you're going to kick me off the air. It's going to be awful.
Well, you're wearing a lovely top today.
I am wearing my City Connection. I'm wearing my Orioles jersey with my name on it, a gift from the team this spring. Yeah, I'm gonna go that deep. It's a lifelong problem I have, but you will see. I mean, actually, as I steel myself for the absolute guts being ripped out of my abdomen by baseball, as is usually the case, I'm also talking a big bunch of trash because I haven't been able to for a really long time.
Well, get it out of your system, man.
Trust me, I'm steeling myself for. There's going to be two reasons I won't be able to be on the radio soon. One, we win the World Series, or two, we don't win the World Series. Either way, I'm going to be completely just irresponsibly awful. You know what's happening today on the show, everybody? Jeff Cesario, our dear friend for many, many years, and by say ours, I mean my personal friend, a friend of this show for decades, literally. And anybody who knows Minneapolis comedy is that Jeff Cesario is at Acme tonight and tomorrow night. He's going to be in studio with us in about an hour and a half, and he's going to hang out for as long as he damn well pleases because we love the man. One of the funnier gentlemen on planet Earth, Jeff Cesario, will be joining us. And at 9:30, oh, that's right, we're going to talk with Ann Wilson of Heart.
Wow.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee Ann Wilson. They went in 2012 or 2013. My first concert ever, Heart. And spent some time on the road with Heart. So I've got a lot of love for Heart and for Ann Wilson specifically. And gosh, I think the first thing that comes to mind, which is crazy because we've all enjoyed that music for decades, the first thing that comes to mind to me is that Stairway to Heaven at the Kennedy Center.
Oh my
Zeppelin
God.
went in.
That was unbelievable.
Still one of the most incredible things ever. Watching Robert Plant just weep in his chair.
Chills.
And Jimmy and John Paul Jones, like just such genuine appreciation and admiration for Ann Wilson on that stage that night. It was incredible. So we're talking with Ann at the end of the show at 9:30. That's pretty exciting. We're going to be giving away tickets along the way. We got Mike Evans. I mean, basically, we're loaded for bear, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday on the show, or should say yesterday on the Facebook page, we posted something, and we want to get into it for teachers. Let's just, stop, slow clap for the teachers of the world. My brother Dave is a middle school science teacher down in Tennessee. We all know teachers. We all love teachers. If anybody deserves all the acclaim and spotlights and love, it's the teachers. And we were looking at something yesterday online about what are some of the craziest things students have said to teachers along the way. And so we asked teachers out there, what are the craziest comments you've heard from your students? And, of course, we've got tons of them. If you are a teacher, if you are with a teacher, basically, if you got a great teacher story, we'd love to hear from you. Go to the KQRS Facebook page. You'll see the post. You can always call the Maple Grove Lock and Safe Talk and Text line 651-989-ROCK. We would love to hear from you. A guy, this is the one that just kills me because it's such a tease. Alan on the Facebook page wrote, "I have 6 pages of things my students have said." Let's get a publisher. Let's get those printed up. Let's type them. Let's check for grammar and print that book. That's a bestseller. Are you kidding? Come on.
Lori was asked as a teacher on her KQ Facebook page if old people fart ash.
What?
If old people fart ash.
Well, I mean, now that we're here, do they?
I don't know.
Wow, that's pretty good.
I'll let you know when I'm old and I fart.
Boy, I'm just thinking back to as a kid, we had this amazing substitute teacher for years named Mrs. Gildard in elementary school. She was just the call-in. She lived right across the street from our school. So anytime they needed a sub, here comes Mrs. Gildard. She was the smartest substitute teacher of all time because she always brought baked goods.
Baked goods.
Oh.
She would literally, first, second, third grade, she knew, I'm coming in, I'm a sub, they're going to go nuts. I'm just going to give them chocolate chip cookies and banana bread. And it worked like a charm because she would bring them in and show them, and she would say, maybe we'll get to share these later. And right away, you've got everyone's rapt attention for the entire day.
I want a cookie.
Yeah, she was incredible. And we were in class one day, and the door opens, and some other woman came in. I was probably in third grade. And she goes, hello, class. I'm so-and-so. I'm your substitute teacher. And I'll never forget, we had twins in our class, James and John. And one of the twins, who knows which one, said, you're not our sub. And she said, oh, no, I am your sub today. She goes, you're not our sub. He got like really, really agitated. And she looked at him and he goes, where are the cookies? Where's the banana bread? Where's the pumpkin bread? I want Mrs. Gildard. And I've thought, even at that age, I'm like, man, not too many substitute teachers get someone to take a stand on their behalf. He was waving the flag pretty big. And I thought of that because also on the Facebook page, Tracy wrote, I had a student yell, we have a sub when I wore glasses for the first time into class. Instead of her contacts. That's just great. Yeah. I think about this all the time. Again, my brother Dave is a middle school teacher, which that would be the absolute worst because you're still a dumb kid, but now your hormones have kicked in. Mm-hmm. I think about wrangling a group of 7th or 8th graders. It'd be damn near impossible. But he's got one thing going for him. He's 6'6". And he can be, if need be, kind of intimidating. And he's told me stories. Every now and again, somebody will, 7th grade kid will be like, what are you going to do about it? Get up in his face. And he'll just stand up and, get all as tall as he possibly can. And then he loves to do the thing where he bends over from the waist and looks down on them. And he goes, I'd suggest you sit down again. And you got to play the cards you have. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Looking down the barrel.
But teachers, man, we're very pro-teacher here. Every day when we come in here, think about what we're doing in the morning right now. We're laughing. We're looking at stories. I'm sitting here in an Orioles high. We're all talking about the Twins postseason because they are in, and we're excited about that. And there are dozens, hundreds of folks in the metro area who are already like, I'm going to start with that spelling lesson here in a minute. Let's see. I'm going to have to get my crayons all lined up, whatever age they are.
So they're going to be all whipped up because it's Friday. They know the weekend's coming. Boy, we think we squirm through a Friday. Kids do. I like Samantha here. One of her students was crying, and she asked why they were crying. I'm not crying. My eyes are sweating.
Okay. Both of them.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. That's fantastic.
Poor sub that showed up at our high school one time for a Soch class. She opened the door, and we were just laughing and screwing around, papers everywhere. Mark Petrullo was dancing on top of a desk to Ted Nugent's Free for All, and she just stood there for a second and slowly pivoted and walked away.
That's experience. That's called wisdom. Right. Don't know if it's intelligence, but it's definitely wisdom.
Well, as you said, the morning, a lot to get to. It's already flying by. It's Movie Review Friday with Mike Evans here at 6:30. Saw 10 in theaters this weekend.
I got 9 movies I got to watch real fast.
That's right. Hang tight.
What?
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Hey, also of note, around 9 o'clock today, we are going to play for the first time a brand new single from the band U2.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, U2's about to kick off that bunch of shows in Vegas at that new venue called The Sphere. The 360, totally complete immersion, 4D, greatest sound system ever, greatest visual system ever. It's a venue like a $2 billion venue just for U2 to perform. They have a new song out called Atomic City with a new video, and we're going to play it for you around 9 o'clock. Oh, and while we're talking about great bands with new songs, that Stones tune, Sweet Sound of Heaven, holy crap on a crutch.
Is that good?
I listened to it 15 times yesterday. It It's the track itself is beyond reproach, and then the song is beautiful. Hearing Mick Jagger sing about his pending mortality, I didn't realize that was going to move me quite so much. But boy, my God, that band! I think 2 songs into the new Stones record, and I don't think it was something they discussed because they didn't have to. But they all think. I think that Rolling Stones camp was kind of like, if we're going to do this without Charlie, we better bring our AAA plus games. It is truly inspired music that the Rolling Stones are releasing drip by drip. If you've not heard Sweet Sounds of Heaven, please do yourself that favor.
What a nice surprise.
Can't wait to hear the rest of that album. By the way, he'd been talking about his mortality and his inheritance and his children, but we'll get back to that.
Oh, that's right. He certainly has. But if you're looking for great rock and roll in the year 2023, go figure. 58 years after Satisfaction, 58 years later, the Rolling Stones are still delivering. That's how that works. All right, on to other topics. How about this? How about the Hollywood Report? Mike Evans is with us on the horn. Michael, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the weekend, everybody. Someday I'll tell you my Rolling Stone story. It is really bizarre. I love the Rolling Stones, though. But I keep thinking about the last couple of times that I've seen them in concert. They run behind the stage, and they hit oxygen. You get oxygen, and then they come back on stage.
Yeah,
well,
it's you know what? That's not. They don't need the oxygen, but it's just a habit of the years to run off stage and get a hit of something.
Yeah,
and now they've gone. Now they just need the Pavlovian. It's a thing, and they've replaced whatever the something was with oxygen. So it makes perfect sense.
There you go. Look, everybody in the country is talking and buzzing about it. I'm going to give my 2 cents, so here you go. So Taylor Swift is supposed to attend the Chiefs-Jet game Sunday. Mm-hmm. However, I want to see that they're a couple. I want to see some kissing. I want to see some showing real affection. I want to see some proof. I'm not totally convinced.
Sex tape, maybe?
That this may not just be a huge publicity stunt, and Taylor's playing Travis like a fiddle.
They're playing each other like fiddles, and that's why I love it. I think this is just how it should be. Let's not even pretend we're a couple. Let's just build up a fervor, get everybody paying attention, and then we'll gracefully part ways, and everyone's going to, there's going to be way more Kelsey jerseys sold. A few more dads around the country are like, well, I guess she's okay. I mean, it works for everybody.
Oh, and the Jets announced that they sold more tickets in one day yesterday when Taylor announced that she was coming than they've sold in the history of the New York Jets on a one-day sale.
I've been to an evening game, a Jets home game at night. Taylor Swiftie fans, if you're planning to attend, bring a large man to protect you. That's a lion's den. Don't go to a Jets game at night if you're a Swiftie. What's the matter with these kids?
Yeah. And the fact that Taylor was seen leaving Travis's house with his mom and his family before the Chicago Bear game, that doesn't prove that Travis and Taylor are dating. I mean, the fact that she's having drinks with Mahomes' wife after a game at a bar, that doesn't prove that Travis and Taylor are together. I mean, I maybe they are, but I agree with you, Steve. They're playing this like a great concert, the way they're playing this whole thing.
Couple of grand old Opry fiddle players up there, man.
Unbelievable. Hey, this report brought to you by Marcus Theaters, and I bring that up now because weekend's a great time to go see a movie, and we have movie reviews, and I really like this first one. The Saw franchise is back, and if you saw Saw 1 and Saw 2, Saw X is a must-see, and it's opening today.
Okay.
It's set between the two Saws. Our hero, John Kramer, goes to Mexico for an experiment cancer cure. Check it out. It's a total scam, and his anger turns into the determination to make the scammers pay. I tell you, that Tobin Bell is really a great actor. He's really great as John Kramer in this terrifying thriller, rated R, 2 hours long, 3 stars for Saw X.
Fair enough.
Creator is the next movie. Here's the deal. There are exciting parts of this thriller which basically puts artificial intelligence against the human race. It's set hundreds of years from now, with future war of wars. And there really are some incredible special effects and some surprises, but it's kind of bogged down. Too many damn robots. I mean, a little overdone. doesn't have any soul, but John David Washington, the star, really carries this movie, despite it being a sci-fi. It's a little long, in 135 minutes, but I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. You like that genre? You're going to like that one.
Fair enough.
One of my favorite actors, Michael Caine. You like Michael Caine?
Oh, he's great, isn't he?
Yeah, he's great. Great, is he?
No, you've got to understand your parents. I'm all
That's
for
very
Michael
good.
Caine.
Very good. Michael Caine is 90 years old, and he says he's made his last movie. It's called The Great Escaper. Caine plays an old man who escapes from his care home to attend the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landing in France and to reconnect with his buddies who he was there with.
Oh, front row. Don't kid yourself. I'll be there.
Yeah, sounds great.
Some man just like to watch the world burn.
4 stars.
Yeah.
TV news, Missing, Dead or Alive, is on Netflix. It's a one-season documentary. I liked it. Follows officers from a South Carolina Sheriff's Department who are urgently searching for individuals who have disappeared. I was shocked by this. Steve, 1,500 people go missing in the United States every day.
Oh, really?
1,500. That's what, according to the FBI stats that I looked into. Yeah,
Good Lord.
unbelievable. These
crazy.
officers are determined to find the ones missing in their jurisdiction, dead or alive, hence the name of the show.
There you have it.
So everybody's excited about the Twins, but nobody too excited about the Vikings.
That's about the state of things right now. But we're going to turn the train around against these pesky Carolina Panthers on Sunday. It's all going to be good.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I hope everybody has a great weekend. And to kick it off, come on, boys and girls, sing along. It's Aloha Friday.
Hey.
Don't work till Monday.
Hey.
We're going to play day Aloha Friday. Let's go extended. Mili, Kalika Maka, Hauli Maka.
Grab it like a fish,
Aloha.
Bam! There it is.
Did you break into REM's It's the End of the World there for a moment?
I was going, I Am the Walrus. Grab it like a fish,
yeah.
phonograph a piece. This man, you should have seen them kicking around. I don't know what the hell he's
Can I
talking
get this
about.
off my chest? It's not
please.
Saw X. It's Saw 10, and it's not doesn't happen between the two Saw. He said this takes place between the two Saw movies. There are 9 previous Saw movies. This
Maybe
one
if
takes
he meant.
place.
Okay, go ahead.
What did he mean, Candace?
I was thinking he meant like it was in the time of the first two.
Happened between the first
You know what
two.
I mean?
He just said between the two Saw movies.
With my
Which two?
limited
7 and 8, 6 and 7?
my limited
I really don't
understanding
care.
of my limited understanding of this franchise led me to believe that there's literally 2 table saws and something happens in between the two of them.
It's a home
Probably
improvement
It's-
series.
that's what. Yeah, exactly.
I can't believe there's 10 of them, though. I remember I was not of age to go see that movie, but my friend's dad snuck us in because he's a great father. And I had nightmares for like.
Oh boy!
Of course.
The first one was so scary. Oh, my
Sure. Oh, that's inappropriate.
That's a lot of maimed bodies.
I'm fine.
Are you? Are we sure? Fine. No, really. I'm over it now, man. It's totally fine, man. Saw X. Add Saw X to the Oppenheimer reports that we were getting throughout the summer.
Comes out on Tuesday.
That's
I still haven't seen that movie, Oppenheimer.
no.
No, I watched Oppenheimer, loved it.
Yeah, no, that's good.
I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet.
It's a spinoff of the Open Sesame series, if you remember from the.
Yeah.
Hope.
All right, hell, as long as we're here, let's look back. How about a history lesson?
This man is a creative genius. This gift that Steve has, it goes beyond just sports.
Music history.
Understand?
So, what happened?
Oh, I'll tell you what happened. Real quick baseball note. Not that my Orioles have 100 wins and the AL East champions, but in 1954, okay, we're going back a long ways here, folks. 1954 on this day is the day Willie Mays made the catch. Any baseball fan knows exactly what I'm referencing. The very famous still photo of Willie Mays with his back to home plate, the over-the-shoulder grab, the spin move to throw the ball back into the infield to keep the runners on their bases. Since 1954, literally still considered the greatest defensive play in baseball history, the catch kept the Cleveland Indians at bay. They'd won 111 games that year, but that catch fueled the Giants to defeating them. So in Cleveland, you've got the catch, the drive, the fumble, and the shot. 4 times that Cleveland sports fans have been destroyed by a moment of brilliance from an opposing player. It's good to be a Cleveland fan, huh? Hey, you signed Deshaun Watson. You're going to get what you deserve. That's all I got to say about that.
Oh, by the way, Saw 10 does take place between the first 2. It's just the way he worded it that bothered me. I'm over it now. We're moving on.
I appreciate the follow-up and the research.
Thank you. We have a new U2 song to play for you at 9 o'clock, and that's reminding me this morning of the time I broke up with someone to go to a U2 concert. I just broke up so I could go to the show.
Attaboy.
A petty, pathetic reason to break up with someone, and that's what we're talking about here at 7 o'clock. The pettiest reasons people have broken up with someone. You have one? Give us a call here, 651-989-ROCK. We'd love to hear from you on the Maple Grove Lock and Safe Talk and Text line. Hang tight.
You ignorant slut.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Friday, September the 29th. Good morning. Whoo, baby. Poison. Every rose has its thorn. Every rose does have its thorn, Bret Michaels. You're right. Bret Michaels was dating a woman. He went on the road with his band as they were starting to hit the big time, and he called home, and he heard another man's voice in the background of the phone call.
Ain't right.
The rose on that relationship turned awful thorny, baby. See, that's the thing with relationships. You gotta, figure out where the
Unplug
thorns
the
are. Thank you. You got to figure out where those thorns are on the stem early on, or you're looking at a life of misery. We've all been in those relationships that seem awesome until the moment they're not. I broke up with Chauncey recently. We had a little spat, but we put it back together. But
You're an idiot.
well, it's just one too many sneezes. You know what I mean? I was like, that's it. We're done, you and me.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how often a relationship turns on a dime. It just boom, one thing happens and it's over. And you look back, and people will tell you, that's so petty, man. That's ridiculous. Why'd you guys break up? That's a petty reason. To which I say now at the grand old age of 109, no, it's not. There's no petty reason. If the way someone chews their food bugs you, it's not going to go away. In fact, if you commit to a long-term relationship, you're going to be bugged for life. I think we should all admit we're all weird. We all have bizarre things that we just can't abide. And if you are dating someone and they are doing those things, just get out. Save yourselves both a lot of misery. I mean, you don't need a perfect person. I don't think you should have a checklist. And I don't think you necessarily need to walk around, look, as long as they don't snap their fingers out of time, I'll be fine. But when they do something that you realize drives you crazy, man, pull the ripcord.
Yeah, because that's not the one, right? And I agree. The petty reasons, testify, man. You're absolutely right. Those petty reasons don't fade away unless you're that generation like the boomers, or what was the generation before the boomers? The greatest generation. The greatest generation ever. Where they just, silently just put up with it. And then eventually, 40 years later, you get to complacency. But who wants to wait for complacency and waste 40 years? So you're right. It's, I remember one time it was like a second date. I thought it was cute on the first date. By the second date, she would lick her fingers almost after every bite of something. She would just, an apple, whatever it was, just constantly licking her fingers. Yeah. And it just drove me crazy. And I thought, I'm not going to get used to this. This is not going to be.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you walk around saying that, you're not right for me. The thing is, in that case, that you weren't right for her. It's like it's not a you problem. Lick your fingers. It's a me problem. I'm grossed out. Like that's okay.
You know what bothers me in a relationship when you do it? You have a little idiosyncrasy like that, and they say, if you just didn't do that, I'm like, well, then I'm not the problem. You're right. You're the problem. I'm not going to change my behavior.
We're looking at some of these reasons. We saw a list of these. Someone wrote, I briefly dated a young woman who was insanely out of my league. People would stare at us when we went out. But her voice was like Minnie Mouse, and I just couldn't take it. Yeah. I still feel bad about that one. Don't feel bad about it. I could not live with someone whose voice I didn't like.
God, there was this woman I knew. She was incredibly attractive, but had the deepest Minnesota accent. It was so annoying.
Yeah, after a while, sure. Oh, hey, listen, this is a true story. This is not someone I dated, but the most beautiful woman I think I've ever personally been sat at a booth with, across a booth. A group of us were at a dinner. And there was this will sound like all hoity-toity. It was a long story, but it wasn't this at all. But it happened to be in Paris, and me and Robinson were at this club. And then for some unknown reason, somebody brought over a bunch of Ford models, like from the Ford Model Agency. And they were all Eastern European girls. They were Polish, they were Romanian, they were Czech, they were beyond jaw-dropping gorgeous. None of them spoke a word of English. And there was one of them who was hard to look at. It just hurt. Like I was like, this is the most beautiful human being I've ever seen.
Wow.
And I wasn't like, I'm going to hit on her. It was nothing. I was just staring at this thing going, this is a true goddess. I've never seen up close in person someone this beautiful. She didn't say a word. And then when she finally did, she said, I can't find food I like to eat in Paris.
What?
She was from Gastonia, North Carolina. And
what a
she
shock.
literally said, I heard there's going to be a Chili's on the Champs-Elysees and I can't wait. It was Gomer Pyle in the body of the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. And I've never had a more jarring experience in my life.
That's
for
hilarious.
7 minutes, I'm like, I'm uncomfortable with how beautiful this woman is. And then suddenly she started into that, and I was like, I've got to leave now. This is the weirdest. It was no different than if Chauncey had looked at me and started speaking Russian.
That's hilarious.
Da, comrade. I was so incongruous with what I thought was about to happen.
I almost promise you, if Chauncey started speaking Russian, you wouldn't leave the room.
I would not leave the room. That would be pretty awesome.
I love this one, and this is true. I found this to be true. They've written songs about this. There's a great song written about this. If a woman has a horse in her dating profile, you'll never be more important than the horse.
Yeah, no doubt.
If a woman is into horses, yeah, you're just going to be the guy that.
By the way, guys
her to go see her horse.
looking for a relationship after you've already been burned, that's who you want to be with. Like, if I found myself out single again and I saw a horse in a profile, that would be attractive to me. It'd be like, oh, you're going to be busy most of the time? Perfect. I need some Steve time. That would be me. Hey, Candace, do we have a caller?
Brian from Big Lake.
Brian, good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. I've got a weird one here. She was a girl I was dating in college, and she had this underarm sweating thing that her typical antiperspirant didn't handle. So she got this prescription stuff, and she was real into it because, then she wouldn't have these sweaty fits. But the smell of that stuff was just so off-putting to me. It was just such a turn-off. It's like, deal breaker. Can't do it.
What did it smell like?
Could have lived with the sweaty pits, but not that smell.
Oof, that's a tough one, man. We've all had crosses to bear. That's real. That's a tough one.
Time to move on.
No, I get it. I get it. And probably best for both of you. You don't want to tie yourself down with something like that. Thank you, sir. My first real girlfriend, long-term girlfriend in I say real long-term. It was 10th grade. We dated for most of that school year, hit the summer between 10th and 11th grade, and she lived out of town on a farm, so we didn't see each other that often. I didn't have my license yet. But we managed to get through the long distance, the 6 miles between us for most of the summer. And then the relationship ended largely because her sister got married. Now, what I mean by that is her sister got married. My girlfriend was in the wedding. And then she asked me if I would serve at the wedding as an altar boy, as a Catholic wedding. Will you be the altar boy for the service? And I was like, well, I don't normally do that, but how do you, I guess I have to be, sure. So the wedding starts. I'm up there next to the priest, standing there like in the robe thinking, I hope I don't drop something. And then as the wedding procession comes down the aisle, I see my girlfriend, and she's one of the bridesmaids. And she's got her hair done special for the wedding. And it was like these weird garland ponytail things that were all braided and tucked around. It looked like a hornet's nest on her head, which is not at all how she normally looked. And as she walked down the aisle, she was staring at me. And I could tell what she was thinking was, this is going to be us one day.
Yeah.
I'm in love with you and you love me. And this is our And literally, I've never been more turned off by any moment in my life. And as she's approaching me at her sister's wedding, I'm thinking, I'm breaking up with you as soon as this wedding's over.
Oh, gosh.
And I did wait until after the reception. But
Yeah,
I
you
did
have to have some cake first.
Yeah, and I was like, I can't take this. The pressure, it was just too much pressure already.
Oh.
I had to get out. Yeah. And that, to me, that wasn't petty. That was just good old-fashioned horse sense right there. Mm-hmm. I'm not getting locked down. You can't over-romanticize me with your sister's wedding. That ain't how we play this game.
You wasn't ready.
No, I don't think there's any petty reason to break up with anybody. That's just me.
Yeah, no. I mean, they're all real big reasons because they only get bigger. Like you said, they only magnify over time, and no one's willing to wait that 40 years to get to complacency.
This is one guy said
Anymore.
On a date, a girl said she had to go tinkles, and he said, I never saw her again.
Oh. Yeah.
That'll do it.
I mean, cute talk. Yeah, if you're not into the cute talk, because that's not going to go away. Tinkles.
Here on the KQ Morning Show, we do have an advice columnist, and he's here in the studio with us. Jeff Cesario just walked in the door.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Is there any...
I just left a chick. I
Is
had to get out of there.
Yeah. Is there any such thing as is there anything that's too petty? I mean, basically what
Not
we're saying
for a
here.
guy, there isn't.
Yeah, Jeff, what we're saying is if it bugs you on the first date, it's going to bug you for life.
Yeah, unless the other side of the scale is weighed down so heavily with sex.
Well, that's
that you're willing to overlook some things like,
or what they used to call a dowry.
Yeah,
if the money's there.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Wow, I never thought of that. I never was in a position to marry for money.
No, nor I probably could have been if it had occurred to me. Sometimes I look back and think that would have made sense.
Yeah, but you can't. You can't marry for money because then you wind up on Dateline.
Oh,
why does anybody get insurance anymore? That's the whole reason for getting killed. Wow, that's the motivation 90% of the time with Josh Mankiewicz going, or will she? Yes, she will.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, yeah.
She's going to drive a ski pole right through your eyeball. And you're dead.
That's how that works.
And then because it's like Enid, Oklahoma, there was a life insurance policy for over $100,000. And you go, that's 4 months mortgage in L.A. What are people doing in the Midwest? They're dying for no reason. Don't get the insurance.
Jeff, why do you hate romance so much?
Jeff Cesario is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. You're at the Acme Comedy Club tonight and tomorrow night. Welcome to town, brother.
Thanks, man. I got to town. Of course, my weather app in Los Angeles said, it's fine.
Yeah, right.
So, I packed 3 T-shirts,
Sure.
and now here I am in a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
It's pretty ridiculous. And then, of course, your phone system out front is from, Friday the 13th.
Well, that's how we like to roll
doesn't
here.
work.
No, it doesn't work at all.
Oh, my God.
The cord, it's literally, I dial the number and then I notice, the cord snapped in 3 places.
Yeah, it's been like that for years.
That thing hasn't worked since the early 2000s. And
my God.
And as I go out to retrieve Jeff to bring him into the studio in the middle of this segment, there's lightning belting out there. It's pouring rain. It looks like a horror movie Saw 10 scene about to happen.
Yeah, even the bass fishermen aren't happy this morning with the lightning. Oh, crap, gotta get off the lake.
That's exactly it. Yeah. Not so much. Not a common thing in L.A. My family moved from L.A. to Nashville. My son was 4, and we moved in the middle of the summer, and we'd been there a week, and we get our first big summer southern rumble thunderstorm comes through.
Oh,
He's 4 years old, and there's a big lightning flash and then thunder, and he looks at me and goes, "What's that noise?" I was like, He's 4 years old. He's never heard thunder because he lived in L.A.
Daddy, can we move back?
Yeah, please. Why am I sweating? What's happening? Yeah, moving to Nashville in the middle of July was a real game changer for the whole family.
Yeah, and in fact, if you live in an area where there's lightning, good enough reason to break up with a chick.
Oh, always.
Absolutely.
No question.
Yeah.
Would you?
I love coming back here because it always reminds me this is the only place on earth where a business named Pleasure Island is not an adult bookstore.
That's exactly right.
It's a boat and trailer place. It's fantastic.
Thumb on the pulse, Jeff Cesario. Well, hey, man, we're happy to have you. You're going to hang around for a while.
I'll hang around, baby. I'm here.
Let's get him caffeinated, people. Let's do
Exactly.
this. Jeff Cesario is at the Acme Comedy Club tonight and tomorrow night, and he's in the studio with us as we speak. Jeffrey.
Man, oh man, oh man. This is like, you got your dog here.
Oh, I've always got a dog here.
This is pretty cool. This is like back in the 70s when they would go, let's just go up to Jerry's farm and record an album.
Yeah, man.
That's what this is right now. I'm petting a dog in the studio.
Well, when you bring a dog to the studio, there's a whole lot more yeah mans.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
We just want to have a yeah man friendly environment.
Well, you know, a joint's coming soon if there's a dog in the place.
Of course. Everybody's we gotta stay chill, man. We gotta stay chill. So you're at Acme tomorrow night and tonight, and but you're one of the old school. You're OG Acme guy. You're one of the first.
Yeah. Well, I'm OG Minneapolis guy.
Sure.
I passed on the way here a club I did in 1981 on campus.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it was like a cellar, and it was one of these great gigs that the late, amazing Louis Anderson just strong-armed somebody into.
Okay.
Literally, it was like, well, listen, you've got a rat skeller. There's room for a stage over there.
Yeah, right.
We'll see you Friday. And the person's like, but I can't. And even back then, people would go, it's Louis. So,
right.
We
What are
did
you
a
gonna
show,
do?
and we had like 200 people there. I'll never forget it.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
I was like 6 weeks into comedy.
Really?
And Louis said, go out and do some time. And I was like, hey, this is great. And of course, now I know he just wanted me to just slaughter all the drunks until he got up there. Just waste time until they were out of the room.
That's Colonel
Which is
Tom.
perfect. It was like college.
Everybody's
for a
got a
comic.
little Colonel Tom in him, which is get the worst opener imaginable, and then
That's
Elvis
right.
comes out and he sounds even better.
That's right. That's right.
That's what Van Halen used to do.
Oh,
The
that's
old
so
Van Halen
great.
days, they'd look around and there'd be certain gigs they'd be like, yeah, let's get these guys to open for us. The crowd will be really happy.
Yeah,
when
then
we
there's some
show up.
hybrids where you can get like a really good act, but he's a guitar act. So he's so far removed from what you do.
Yeah, sure.
That it's perfect.
The original days of comedy for you, did you want to do stand-up? Did you want to write? Did you want to do both? Did you have a plan when you hit the Twin Cities?
No plan. The only plan was get the alien out of my chest that was telling me I have to do this. I remember coming up here and watching a show, and it was one of the first times where I was sitting in a crowd. I'd bought tickets and we're watching a show, and literally after 5 minutes, I went, I got to get out of here. I was having like a panic attack. I said, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be up there. That's
really?
the only thing I know is I'm supposed to be up there. And I just followed, and I got to it late, man. I'm like 103 because I didn't start stand-up till I was 28.
Wow, 28.
Yeah. And there's people now starting when they're, 13, 12.
Of course, yeah.
And so I was literally 28 when I started, and then by 31, I did Letterman.
Wow.
Yeah, I was shot out of a cannon.
That's a slippery slope in the right direction.
Yeah, right.
I bought my first drum kit when I was 21, and all I thought was, I'm too late. There's no way this will work. I am way late in the game. But that feeling, I've never heard it described that way. But I was going to gigs as a college student, and I couldn't stand them because I was like, I'm supposed to be playing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And if there was some way to do that in freshman year of high school, we would all be better, because that's the element of the American dream that nobody quotes.
Yeah.
It's always like, if you work hard, you can do anything you want. And you go within limits of the affinity for which you have something. That's it. Add that to the dream, especially now. But if you do that, and there's tests and crap like that, but I mean, no, it's got to be a visceral thing. You gotta, especially dudes, you got to put dudes in front of something so they can see it and feel it and go, oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
Pontiacs, I've been working on them since I was 7. You go, okay, we're going to take you over to NASCAR now, and that's your life, because you're going to excel.
Right. It's yeah, you're right. They always, a lot of the great slogans we hear, they leave out the important part. They just give you the window dressing.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't
come on, man.
They don't mention the concept of having a knack for it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty simple.
You're right.
So you hit the Twin Cities in the early 80s. And then
I did.
And then at some point along the way, you met Chet Waterhouse.
Oh, yeah. Chet was already doing speed fishing up here, international speed fishing,
Right.
which I didn't even know existed. And
Right.
now I
And for
understand.
anyone who doesn't know what speed fishing is.
Speed fishing is a combination of ice skating, of ice fishing and speed skating, where you skate in a circle around an ice fishing hole.
Right.
And, Jeff, you're not doing it justice. The speed fishing, I accompany Jeff wherever he goes, and he always bollockses this up. Speed fishing is a combination of speed skating and ice fishing. They skate around a hole. There's 5-member teams, international sport, won by Norway, 17 years in a row. Japan slipped in there once. And what you got to do is it's a combination of the tonnage of fish and the elapsed lap time.
So, if I'm not mistaken, Japan they had something about they had a way to bring in more walleye than anybody thought possible.
Well, when you're using other fish as bait, when you're using sushi as bait, that was their trick. But then they got a little too tricky, Steve. They skated around a hole. They had a 5-man diamond pattern, they called it. Put a guy's eye out. Rolled right up to the booth.
Tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
No, 2-year
Rolled up to the
suspension.
That'll happen. And then they gave Norway all the time.
Yeah,
they
gave him the
needed
lead, gave him the runway, baby.
Yeah, sure.
And Finland said, we're not doing it.
Well, Chet Waterhouse, as long as you're here, you still got your thumb on the pulse. See
Of
what's going on.
course, I always have an update ready. If you got any music, Tony, you got music?
Absolutely, sir.
There we go. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Time for the Waterhouse Update, sponsored by the Marianas Trench Coat, featuring the deepest pockets in the business. Romance, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift taking a shot at Andy Reid's new offensive scheme. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know they had that all sketched out. Nothing new here back in the day. You remember this, Steve. Angie Dickinson had a torrid affair with Ron Jaworski. And, of course, there was Taylor Dane and Ron Dane. They got married for a minute. And here's an odd one. Yo-Yo Ma and Anna Kournikova. I had no idea they got together.
I don't remember that one at all.
No, and of course it all got started in the 50s, guys, when Victor Borge went after Patty Berg. That item sponsored by Gunga Dans for really mild Indian food. Try Gunga Dans. What do men like more than the word Hemi? Football! NFL Vikings are stumbling around like Seth Rogen's cleaning lady on a contact high. Kirk Cousins taking more heat than a narcoleptic's s'more. The Jets announced that instead of Zach Wilson at quarterback, they're going to be starting Owen Wilson. Oh boy, his career's never been hotter. Aaron Rodgers said the Jets offense should stop finger pointing and start finger painting, man. Hey, that's next in the booth here too. That nugget sponsored by Throwbacks, the e-cigarette you light with a match. College football. Not saying Colorado's depth is thin, but Coach Deion Sanders signed up for a music appreciation class and will be suited up for the USC game. South America's pastime, baseball. Twins in the playoffs. That's like a Kia team making pit row at Indy. They're there. Doesn't mean they're going to race.
Oh, boy.
I'm not saying the Astros have switched to electronic cheating, but Jose Altuve's first question at any visiting clubhouse is, how's the Wi-Fi here? That item sponsored by Incognito. You'd never guess we're plumbers. NBA. Damian Lillard to the Bucks. That makes sense. Milwaukee is Portland without the layer of smoke from the burning institutions. And finally, this week in sports history, the year 1920, the place, Chicago, Illinois. 8 Chicago White Sox baseball players are charged with fixing the 1919 World Series in the infamous Black Sox scandal. Still more dignified than the 2023 White Sox. This is Chet Waterhouse reminding you to play with pain.
Oh, right on. Whew. Woo! Boy, it's
I'm exhausted listening.
it's time for Chet's first nap, I believe.
I'm fired up. Just get me some of that gasoline station coffee. I'll be here all day.
Well, Chet, I know you're a Badger from birth.
Yeah.
How's that football team looking to you this
Well,
season?
it reminds me of the 4 years they tried the veer under Don Morton. Salty Don Morton. That didn't go well.
The veer?
They tried the veer in 1987 and 90.
Oh, really?
Yeah, then they fired Morton.
Tough years for the Badgers.
Yeah, they won 2 games. Yeah, they were taking guys from they were recruiting high school kids from White Bear Lake and places like that.
Sure.
And Ely. Places you go for hockey players. That's where they were getting their D-backs.
Just needed more bodies, and they just pointed in the wrong direction.
No, it went south fast. That's when Barry Alvarez came in and saved it again, much like Vince Lombardi. Something about the Mediterranean hue to the skin tone that Wisconsinites love in their head coaches. So we'll see what happens here. They got some moving parts that aren't connected yet, and once they connect those, they got to get the erector set out and put a couple of bolts in there. So once they connect them, they got a shot at the Big Ten West, but everybody apparently has a shot at the Big Ten West.
I haven't checked the current Badger coach's hue. Are we excited about the future?
This kid Fickle is in there.
Sure,
Fickle.
that's right.
And I like what he's doing on the field. Leaves a little to be desired at the mic.
Is that true?
Yeah, I like a snappier guy at the mic. You read his quotes and you go, there's a couple of it's like talking to my mom.
Yeah, right.
There's tangent after tangent. I can't follow the guy. So long as he keeps the X's and O's clean, I'm fine.
A lot of off-ramps you weren't expecting on that.
Yeah,
path.
right, exactly. Suddenly he's talking about his uncle and you go, weren't we talking about linebackers? What happened?
Hey, so what were your thoughts? I'm assuming you watched, like all Wisconsinites, the Aaron Rodgers 4 plays and out with the New York Jets debut. Were you wishing him well? Were you hoping the Jets would actually make a run, or did you have a thought either way on Rodgers?
I wish no one ill, but I liked it. I gotta admit, it's kind of weird. The Germans have a word for it. Schadenfreude, they call it. That's where you enjoy the misery of others.
Sure.
Which for a lot of people up here, they just call that Lutheranism.
Well, Chet, I would have thought you and Aaron would be simpatico. You've been to Peru. You've done ayahuasca with the shaman.
Well, yeah, but I did it when it was weaker stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it just made you go to the bathroom and enjoy a sunset. I don't know what the hell they're burning now.
Oh, we've all had that experience.
Yeah, they're too deep in the jungle. They got through the good crap, and now they're pulling flowers out of there that don't even have a color hue to them. You go, what is that, purple or yellow? And then pretty soon you're ingesting it.
Sure.
And then you're vomiting. I never thought vomiting was a sign of anything fun.
Not really. Not so much.
I do like Aaron. I like him because he takes tangents all the time, and he dates hot women from across the spectrum. Does not seem to be held to one type.
No, not at all. Speaking of you and Peru,
you think we're scared. What do you think about Zach Wilson?
Oh,
he's
my
like,
God.
come on, Aaron. Oh, God. Oh, no. I'm in. Oh, God.
He was never has anybody been more prepared to make money watching other people work than Zach Wilson.
Yeah,
this
Zach
year.
Wilson.
He was feeling it. Did Chad ever? Do you have your passport back or no?
No, I did not get my passport back.
No, okay.
No, absolutely not. I went to. I had to go to North Korea.
Okay.
To do the He-Man Jenga competition. A lot of people don't know what this is either, but it's huge on the Pacific Rim, where they use actual railroad ties as Jenga clubs. Yeah, it's amazing. And then there's the fire pit, and then there's the
Jenga fire pit.
The Jenga fire pit. They just light the whole thing on fire. It's like 7 stories tall.
Sure.
Guys still got to clamber in there and grab a log and try to get out of there.
That's tough.
And then they got termite tower. They got a lot of things. It's a lot of fun. People love it. People die, but that doesn't seem to bother people in the Pacific Rim.
No,
no.
That's a different appetite for sport in North Korea.
Yeah. Hey, this portion of the broadcast brought to you by KafkaAsk.com. Ask any stupid question and get an intriguing answer from KafkaAsk.com.
Kafka Ask. Oh, that's as good as it's gonna get. I can't imagine. Seriously, that's because we have peaked. Hey, you're at Acme tonight and tomorrow night. You along with Jeff Cesario.
That's right. I can't do that too long, or I won't have enough voice for the show tonight.
Trust me, I'm done. I'm tapping out. We're just getting started. I'm thrilled to see you and happy to have you in the studio. You got a few more minutes? You gonna hang?
I'm here, baby. Let's do it.
651-989 ROCK is the Maple Grove Lock and Safe Talk and text line. If you got a question for Jeff Cesario, local legend, our good friend, feel free to chime in. Let us know what's on your mind. Jeff's gonna hang with us. If you've never seen Jeff in person, Acme tonight and tomorrow. Right on. A little bit more with Jeff Cesario. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Friday, September the 29th. Led Zeppelin with Black Dog. I am in a room right now with the great Jeff Cesario, the John Bonham of comedy.
Hey, guys, before we get started, that Led Zeppelin tune, sponsored by Sweet Co's Penicillin Nut Bar. Munch the pain away with Sweet Co. Go ahead, guys.
Sorry. I should have said Jeff Cesario as well as Chet Waterhouse joining us in studio this morning. My apologies, Chet.
No problem.
Jeff Cesario is at the Acme Comedy Company tonight, 7 and 9:30. Tomorrow night, 7 and 9:30. It's always a pleasure.
How good is Bonham? He's just the best.
There's two drummers that I have said this about for years. John Bonham and Ringo Starr are the two guys that every drummer buys their drum kit and you start playing along, and the better you get, the better they get.
That's great.
The gap between you or me and those two, as you get better, the gap stays the same, because the more you learn about what's going on, the more you go, oh, they're way better than I realized.
Wow, that's impressive. Yeah, they're great. And they're also both classic wise asses, which is my feeling about drummers. That's why so many comedians are drummers, is because at least on the gig, there's nothing in our mouths, so we get to just catcall everything from the back of the place. Yeah. And nobody but the bass player and a couple of roadies can hear you.
Yep.
So if you crack them up, you're in seventh heaven.
There's, and I've thought about this a lot, that literally just as simple a thing as there is of timing, if you have a sense of timing, you can apply that in a lot of different places in life. And comedic timing is, of course, you've got your own rhythm. And if your own rhythm makes sense, every drummer's got their own one. Everyone has their own perfect feel. And comedy's all about that, finding your rhythm, finding your sense. It's just like a golf swing. Once you find it, you're on your way.
The one instrument that spans all genres is lead guitarists. I don't care what genre music you're listening to. I don't care if it's Led Zeppelin. I do not care if it's the Gap Band. It doesn't matter. Once the lead guitarist starts to play lead guitar, it's the same frickin' solo. It doesn't matter. It's like they go in cross all genres, country, rap, hip-hop, soul, rock and roll. The guy just comes center stage and goes, all right, listen, I figured out how to get laid. Just get out of my way. It's the same thing. It's such a cool thing to hear.
It's pretty amazing. And then you've got all the dorks like me who are like, I'd like to provide a solid foundational groove so everyone else can be at their best.
No, let's be honest. The train of thought there for drummers, I don't want to learn all those chords.
That's exactly what it is. No, I've always said, like, fine motor skills. No. My fingers don't do anything. I can move my arms and legs.
What's the other thing called? Gross motor skills? That sounds more my speed.
That's me all damn day long.
I always thought, every time I hear Hard to Handle, I just go, oh, this dude, I can't believe I actually know him, and to a point where I'm insulting him with jokes.
Please. And you can't
and
be,
then,
can't be enough.
Secondarily, I think, oh, this dude, I texted you once, this dude is way closer to Bernard Pretty Purdy than he is to an actual rock and roll drum. If you don't know Bernard Purdy, just Google him. He's on every frickin' soul tune, literally from 1967 to about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable, and you have like a natural groove that I think that I associate with that kind of drumming.
Well, but Bernard Purdy is, and by the way, no greater. Thank you. That's a
Here's what you do:
tremendous
Google
compliment.
Memphis Soul Stew by King Curtis.
Yeah, that'll set you free.
And that's Bernard Purdy at his finest.
The Purdy Shuffle is the famous groove that he kind of took credit for. That's the "Fool in the Rain" beat for Led Zeppelin fans.
Yeah,
that halftime, but still with all the groove imaginable. But Bernard Purdy is a legendary soul and funk drummer who is greatest claim to fame for me is that he always said, "Oh, I played on all those early Beatles records." He took credit. He said, "This English guy called me and said we had to fix some tracks." And he literally will tell this story. He is convinced that he over-recorded Ringo's parts on the early Beatles hits.
Well, he did everything. He literally did like Dionne Warwick, and then 10 minutes later, he's in his studio doing George Clinton.
Yeah, no, of
you
course.
know, he did everything. So he can't remember anything.
No, but it's great because I'm sure along the way, some English guy did call him and say, "Come fix some drum tracks." But it wasn't George Martin, and it wasn't Beatles tracks that were all played live in a studio. That back then, with 4 tracks, you couldn't replace.
Oh
the drums.
no, it was. I'm sure it was Jerry and the Pacemakers.
But you actually are a percussionist.
Yeah, I played.
I mean, there's a reason. By the way, there's a reason I introduced Jeff Cesario as the John Bonham of comedy. It wasn't a joke. No, when we first met, we were talking. All we talked about was drums.
Yeah. I played. I was not speaking of. Call back to the first segment, which nobody was listening to because they weren't in their cars at the time.
Right.
Was the affinity for something, and I started playing drums, and I went, okay. I was, man, this is great. I sit next to a dude named Steve Houghton, who went on to become an unbelievable studio drummer in L.A. Played all the great sessions. Played with Woody Herman. Played with Freddie Hubbard. Played with all these amazing musicians. Yeah. And wound up then teaching jazz and drums at Indiana U, where your kid went to school.
Great music school.
Yeah, unbelievable. So I would sit next to him, and it would take me 8 hours to learn a lick that he would learn in like 12 minutes. And I went, okay, maybe there's something I could do with my mouth. Is that possible? Because this is really hard.
Yeah.
And so I went, I'm in a practice studio, and I'm sweating. I don't like this anymore.
Yeah, right.
But I was always drawn. My mom loved Tony Bennett. And so my dad got all the Tony Bennett albums, but my dad's like an old jazzer, and who couldn't play either. But he was really good at art, so he painted all the bandstands of the big bands that were coming through Kenosha, Wisconsin, on their way from Chicago to Milwaukee or Minneapolis.
Right.
They would stop and play on one night or on a Tuesday.
Yeah,
and my dad would come in and go, "Can I paint your bandstands?" And they go, "Yeah, sure, kid." And he'd like freaking do them right, and they go, "Wow, this kid can paint." So all the bands started coming through, and my dad would paint their bandstands. And so I would listen to all this stuff, man, and I would go, "Wow, this is wild." And my dad snuck in Tony Bennett live at the Latin Quarter in Philly from like 1962 or something, where it's with Count Basie and Quincy Jones is leading the band. Jeez. And they had like Patato Valdez on congas. And I'm like, listen, and my mom's like, "Oh, Tony's so great." Meanwhile, they're just cutting it in the rhythm section.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, who's this dude and how is he playing? I'm 12.
Yeah.
He's playing with his hands. That's even more basic than drums.
Yep.
Now I'm out of even having to hold sticks. Let me do that.
Yeah.
And I was just primally attached to that, and I learned how to play Latin percussion.
Do you play it all now, Jeffrey? Do you have a set at home?
I have my congas still, I haven't hauled them out in a while, but I love it. I still love it, man.
Well, there's a Bagman track in the future where we're going to put some congas on
man,
there.
let me know. Let me know a month ahead of time, and I'll get the calluses back.
I was going to say, yeah.
Because I could do it, but you don't want blood all everywhere.
No,
I'll split
we
the
really
fingers
don't.
wide open.
Jeff Cesario is at Acme tonight and tomorrow night, 2 shows both nights. It is well worth anybody's time to go see the great Jeff Cesario in person. You and I first met in person in 2002. We were hooked up. I had an idea for a TV show, and I met an agent, and he said, "You need to meet one of my guys, Jeff Cesario." And when he said that, I went, "Oh, wait, I know Jeff Cesario." He goes, "Yeah, he's a comedian." And I go, "Is that the guy that they always bump from Larry Sanders?"
That's right.
That was my first. And then we actually had a caller who asked if we could about that. So the Larry Sanders Show, for anyone that's unfamiliar, how do you even get your arms around the impact of that comedy from the 90s?
Yeah, it's the brilliance of Gary Shandling, who had already been amazingly brilliant and life-changing with It's Gary Shandling Show,
right,
which broke the fourth wall and incorporated a lot of unbelievable stuff, and yet was gut-level funny.
Yeah, right.
And that was the key to Gary. He started as a writer, wrote scripts for Sanford and Son and stuff like that, then transitioned to stand-up when he already had a successful writing career. Started at the bottom of stand-up and quickly accelerated because he knew what he was doing. And then still had these genre-changing type shows. And Larry Sanders was his version of a talk show. He had the world at his fingertips at that point in the mid-'80s to late 80s, where The Tonight Show was saying, why don't you become the perennial guest host?
Yeah.
Why don't we hand this off to you? And Gary was like, I don't know if I want to work every day on this kind of thing without that second level of what is the real meaning of this and what is this doing to people's lives. He was pulled to the writing aspect of it. So he said, I'll create a fictitious talk show and we'll get to the juice from that. And hence the Larry Sanders Show, and it's just brilliant.
You can. There's a lot of hyperbole, and then there's just the reality, which is it truly changed TV comedy. It opened up ideas that other people would have never thought they could get off the ground. So it's a revolutionary show. And what I'm referencing about you, before we talk about you being on the staff, I remember watching, and occasionally on a Letterman or a Leno, they'll come out and they'll say, oh, sorry, we're out of time. My apologies to, and there's always a stand-up comic that gets bumped for time. And you had the recurring bit on Larry Sanders where he would just be doing the show, like you're watching, and they're like, hey, apologies to Jeff Cesario. And the one episode where you're just... and Artie, the producer, and you are having these moments, and it's just so funny.
I came up with that episode. Here's how that all started. I had, of course, befriended Dennis Miller prior to anything happening with Dennis. We got to town the same time. We were both Rust Belt comics. He was from Pittsburgh. I was from, Kenosha, Wisconsin, which was American Motors, just industrial as could be.
Yep.
And so we were sort of the flip side of the same coin. He was darker and more political, and I was lighter and whatnot, but we wrote jokes the same. We had the same tone. I befriended Dennis. Things blew up for Dennis. I started writing for Dennis a little bit on the side when he was on SNL because nobody was writing for him. So I was on the road 8 months a year. I would go, Denny, this thing I'm doing about Russia is working.
Yeah.
Take it and use it on SNL because it's burnt on me in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And through Dennis, I met Gary.
Okay.
And through that, they asked me to write for The Tonight Show when Gary would guest host, because Dennis would write for Gary.
Right.
Even though he was a big star himself at the time, he would still come in and write for a week, so I would join them. And then from that, I would write stand-up for Larry for Gary, because nobody was writing stand-up for Larry.
Larry the character
needed
needed to have stand-up.
Who would do 1 or 2 monologue jokes per episode. If you don't know the format of the show, it was a parody of a talk show, essentially, through that lens, you got to their personal lives and all the backstage crap. And you really understood, these are 7 people who are just incredibly selfish and don't care about anybody else. That was the beauty of that show, and that's what I said, that's the key to writing, which was the huge lesson. But so I would throw Gary jokes. I would just go, I don't care. Here's 10 jokes for Larry. And so we would parse through them, and I would start to do a whole process with him. He'd go, come on over, it's monologue time. And I would go in and do the Larry Sanders monologues. And it was great fun. And as a thank you, he would get my name on the air by bumping me off the show. That's how he would do it. And then I was already producing Dennis Miller Live, and we had already won an Emmy. We were on our way to our second Emmy. And he said, listen, if you think anything ever for a thing, let me know. And I thought of an idea. I said, why don't we do an episode? And I went to Judd Apatow, who had already, this is how brilliant Judd is. He never was actually on the staff of the Larry Sanders Show. He had gotten to a position where he would do the 8 weeks of prep with Gary,
right?
Which is insane to begin with in any show, let alone
that's a bunker mentality.
Yes, with Gary, who's who 3 weeks in is like, I got to get out of here, So, but that's Judd's brilliance. Mm-hmm. That's Judd's affinity. He knew how to pull diversity and energy, boom, into a room, and so I went to Judd and said, why don't we do this thing where I'm getting bumped all the time? And finally, I guilt Larry into forcing me on the next night.
Right.
And the next night, all hell breaks loose. Hank's dad dies and he wants to do a eulogy on the air.
Oh, it's incredible.
Tom Petty says, oh, hell, I'll do 3 songs instead of 1, which never happens, in a talk show. So they managed to squeeze me on for like a minute and a half. And there's a great scene where Artie goes, Artie, the producer, goes, played by the brilliant Rip Torn, goes, Jeff, what's your favorite bit? I go, that opening bit. He goes, that's hilarious. That is a good bit. Cut it. And so they cut me down to a minute and a half.
Oh, so
I
great.
do squeeze on, and we're watching at Larry's house. Larry and Jeff Cesario are watching the show as it premieres on the air that night. And 12 seconds into the show, we are preempted by another celebrity slow speed chase through the streets of LA.
It's one of the great it's one of the great episodes of one of the greatest shows ever.
Thank you so much. And Judd, of course, whipped it into shape where Gary would go, oh, I see how this comes together and how it dives into the lives of everybody else.
Absolutely
and from
incredible.
that, the next season I got on staff.
Jeff Cesario is at Acme tonight, 7 to 9:30. Tomorrow night, 7 to 9:30. Brother, it is always just an absolute joy to spend time with you. Thank you.
My pleasure, man.
That was fast radio. Wow, I'm exhausted.
That does the job.
It does, doesn't it?
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Friday, September the 29th. Good morning. And this is a good morning for 4 Minnesotans who apparently all shared in a big lottery win on Wednesday night. The Powerball lottery specifically. Nobody won the millions and millions and millions. It's now up to almost $1 billion again, over $900 million. But in Minnesota, 4 people did win. 3 people won $50,000 each, and 1 person won $150,000 on Wednesday night.
Oh, that's something.
The $150,000 ticket was sold at the Quick Trip over in Glencoe.
Grapes.
And then 3 people won $50,000 each. New Brighton Gas, West County Road E2. Wow. Holiday stations at Eagle Lane in Woodbury, and Bill's Superette in Now Then. Now Then?
Now then.
It's spelled like now. It's a new one for me. Now Then.
Yeah, just right up 169.
Wow, Now Then. That is a great town name. Holy crap, I love learning about Minnesota.
Yeah, Now then.
Hey, so 4 folks are feeling pretty good right now. Of course, tomorrow night, as I said, $925 million. That bad boy is up there close to $1 billion yet again. That's kind of crazy.
You forget about those little wins there. Now, Wednesday, I'm actually at a convenience store and was and thought about it. I was just getting a little diesel in the truck, and I went, holy cow, that's right. There's the big jackpot.
Yeah.
And I went in and I said, what's the big jackpot? They have the drawing yet? When do they do that? That's Wednesday night. That's tonight. You have time to buy tickets. Great. And I don't have any cash. She goes,
Never.
well, the ATM's right there.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, but then you got to get out 20, and then you're like, well, if I have to pull out 20, then I always have that thing of like, well, then am I supposed to buy 10 tickets? Like, do you buy 2 or 4 or 3? Or how many do you get? Because in my mind, it's like you want the story to make sense for when you win. Well, they made me pull out 20, so I said, screw it, I'll buy 10. But then do you want to be the guy who bought 10 tickets? No, you want to say, I just bought 1 and it hit. That's cooler.
Yeah, it's just, there you go. And by the time all that happens, then it's stressful and you just leave. No, I just got lazy. I thought, well, what am I going to do with all that money anyway? But I forgot about these little wins. These little wins could really, get you healthy in a hurry.
Yeah, $150K, that's not something to sneeze at. No. I mean, come on. That's a nice job. I do think it's funny though when you look at the results of the power. So like, okay, let's say someone on Saturday night wins $925 million. You'll see the results. It'll say all 5 numbers plus the Powerball, $925 million. 5 numbers, but not the Powerball, $1 million. 4 numbers plus the Powerball, like 10 grand. It just drops precipitously down. It's crazy how fast it goes down. I had a ticket one time. I matched 3 numbers. I was like, oh my God, that's got to be worth $8 or something.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be worth like $500. I think it was 20 or it was nothing. I mean, I thought I got 3. That's got to be worth something. No, it's nothing. It's an all or nothing proposition
it's
for the
just
most
so you
part.
can buy more tickets.
Yeah,
exactly
that
what
one
happened.
number just really changes the odds. I
Yeah.
mean, by the way, you mentioned that guy that won the, $1.5 billion. He came out and he hey, it's me. If you can't get out of it, get in there. He's not going to hide, and sneak off to some island somewhere and live in recluse. No, he's out there living it, and the paparazzi is following this guy around. I don't know if it'll come back to haunt him or not, but he already has a new girlfriend.
Oh,
he had
sure.
a girlfriend pre-lottery.
Oh, man.
But now he has a different girlfriend. She's blonde. She looks a lot different than the other girlfriend. He traded her in. He's got a new crazy haircut. He bought the $45 million house, which is almost immediately worth $35 million, they
Of course. How about that? What's that conversation like when you're in a relationship? Let's assume they've been dating for a while. He hits it, then he's like, "I'm breaking up with you." Is she? Do you, I mean, I can only imagine it from from the lottery winner's perspective. I would feel bad, but I would be like, I guess I got, like the song we just heard. Hey, it's time for me to fly. I got $1 billion.
Yeah.
And if the woman looked at me and said, "Well, I want $1 million," you know what my answer would be? Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, that means we don't have to have the rest of this conversation?
I was going to give you 5, but to go away. But
Yeah, man.
Because you were, when I was broke,
Yeah.
you're the best that I could do, but I'm a billionaire now.
And if I could avoid the awkward conversation for $1 million, done. That's a bag of peanuts when I got $1 billion sitting here. By the way, I just looked it up. If you match 3 numbers on a Powerball ticket, it's worth $7.
$7.
7. 3 plus the Powerball. Now you're looking at $100. Boy, they really want to push that Powerball. They want you to have that. Anyway. Yeah. God bless us all. Let's go win $925 million tomorrow night. What do you say?
Okay.
And then they would put a new word in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, which is called what would that be? The DJ ghost, as in guy was on the radio and then we never heard from him again. He's a DJ ghost.
Well, that happens in this business, but not because they won the lottery.
Merriam-Webster's dictionary has added a few new words for the year, as they always do. And by a few, how about this? 690 new words and terms.
You're trying too hard.
690 words added to the dictionary. That sounds to me like way more than normal, but I'm not really sure. Number 1, this is newly added to the dictionary, girl boss.
Girl boss?
The term girl boss, an ambitious and successful businesswoman or entrepreneur, or Candace Wheeler.
Yeah.
What's the word for you can use that, but I can't? Because if a guy says girl boss, he's being chauvinistic.
Is he?
Yes.
Maybe not now.
No, that's in the
I'm
dictionary.
over that.
Yeah, it's in the dictionary. Girl boss.
Girl.
Boy boss doesn't. Now,
Wait.
boy boss sounds.
Wait a minute. So what you're saying, if it's in the dictionary, I can use it in the workplace?
You know what? Let's all find out together.
Give it a run.
All right.
We'll be in touch with HR soon. How about this? Another word that's just been added. I've heard the term girl boss. I've heard that for years. I've never heard this. RIZZ. Riz. Riz. It is romantic appeal or charm. It's short for charisma.
I'm going home early.
Yeah, seriously. Enough already, Merriam-Webster.
Yeah. And charisma is such a nice word.
It's
anyway.
a great word. Man, Riz.
All I hear is jizz.
Thank you. I didn't want to have to say it. Mid. Number 3 on the list, mid. Something that's not great, but not awful. It's just mid. Like, I guess middling, medium, average.
Yeah, average. We have several words for that already.
Oh, my brother says mid all the time.
Really? Yeah. Okay. I immediately go to midshipman. So, if you say mid, I'm thinking you're like a Navy guy. Mm-hmm. How about this? Doggo. Slang for dog. Why do we need slang for dog? What's up, doggo? Look, he doesn't even notice.
Well, I post pictures of Gigi and I say, like, that's my doggo.
Really? Doggo?
I've done it.
You've done it?
Yeah.
All right. Have you ever, wow, okay. TFW, short for that feeling when. Stop. TFW. We don't need that. I'm trying to find one that. Okay, this is upsetting to me. Jorts is now an official word in the dictionary.
They kind of missed that one.
That's
Jorts.
old.
Yeah, jean shorts. I mean, I mean, not since Tobias Fuke was rocking the never nude jean shorts in the shower on Arrested Development. Have I seen a pair of jorts?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't believe that's not in there. Blue jean shorts. Ever? Anyone ever? I've never had a pair of jean shorts that I've worn.
Oh, sure.
But not jorts.
Yeah, cutoffs back in the day.
Yeah.
But then it was always very difficult. You know, that's like, well, how high is too high? How low is too low? I erred on the side of caution. I went closer to the knee every time when I'd be cutting off a pair of jeans.
God. When I was younger, I had fake ones. They were the jean shorts, but they weren't cut from actual jeans, so they had like the fake little frayed fringe.
Sure they did.
So embarrassing.
Yeah. Well, the pockets can't be hanging out. If the pockets are hanging out, I mean, unless, you're a beautiful woman or something like that. They have a different sense of fashion. But guys with cutoffs with pockets hanging out.
The jean shorts in our house, it wasn't a fashion statement. It was you're having a growth spurt. You've outgrown the length, but they still fit your waist. So we're going to get as much usage out of these as possible.
Absolutely.
That's what that was all about. By the way, I had a weird thought the other day. It hasn't occurred to me. I mean, I can't remember the last time I had this thought, and it still is in the back of my head. I kind of miss overalls.
I do, too.
I'd like a pair of denim overalls. I was thinking about that.
They were huge when I was a teen. I wore them for one summer. Never went back to it. And I think about that all the time.
Chicks wear them all the time now.
Yeah.
Totally in fashion, but I have never seen a guy recently wear overalls.
I was rocking overalls in the 90s, in the mid 90s. Real long hair, stupid looking goatee, just drunk all the time, but boy, those overalls did the job.
Did you have one strap down?
No, I didn't go like that. No, that would have just caused too much chaos.
How about shirt off with overalls?
Is there a shirt
Only
on
if you're
option?
fat.
Is there an option to wear a shirt? No, it was just me lumberjacking my way through life.
Well, take you up to northern Minnesota this winter. You'll see lots of guys wearing overalls. I do all winter long. Yeah.
651-989 Rock. If you've got overall thoughts, hell, why not? It's Friday. Here's another one. Speed run. Speed run is one word when you play an entire video game as fast as possible. What's the option? I'm always trying. I mean, what do you slow down a video game to savor the magic? What the hell does that even mean?
Yeah.
You just play till you lose. You're just extending time on a video game. I'm confused.
That's another genre, speed run. That was just the good old cocaine days, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was a time when that was just called life. How about this? I've seen this, and I see this term a lot, and I always have to take a beat and go, what? Oh, I get it. Thirst trap. That's now in the dictionary.
Yes.
A photo or video shared to attract attention or desire. Oh, someone's posting another thirst trap.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I see that, I go, wait, what does that mean? Oh, yeah, I get it.
It's kind of hard to say.
I still don't
Thirst
get it.
trap.
Yeah, sure. Thirst trap.
Candace, thirst trap? What is it?
I've been known to post a thirst trap or two. When you're down at the gym and you're just a little sweaty, but your abs look really good.
I love how sexy I am.
See?
And then I've used your dog Chauncey as a thirst trap, to get attention.
Oh, sure, I gotcha.
Yeah, it's just a thing, I guess.
Did you ask him if that was cool, or did you just do it?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And he said...
He's a slut.
God, you look so beautiful.
And so I guess you then assumed that photo of my dog was grammable. Another word in the dictionary that is something worthy of being posted on Instagram.
Chauncey is definitely grammable.
Oh, he's grammable all day long. Let's see. Is it your secret Instagram account, or Finstra is now a word? Finsta. That's a word for fake Instagram.
Oh,
Finsta. Come on. Do we really need these new words to be put down in an honest to God dictionary?
I mean, I think the dictionary is just trying to remain relevant, right? Look at us over here. Remember the dictionary? Remember when it mattered to have a dictionary?
Okay, by the way, I've just now come across one on this list. This is awesome. This is actually great. The kiss and cry. Do you know what the kiss and cry is? It's in professional ice skating, the area just off the ice where they sit and wait to see their scores.
Oh, that's great.
The kiss and cry.
That's perfect.
That's pretty good. We've all had moments in life where we felt like we were in the kiss and cry. You know what I mean? Like, is she going to notice I'm over here? Beast mode. That's now in the dictionary. Beast mode. Like if a running back runs over someone, you say, "Wow, that was beast mode."
What was what's his face with the Seahawks?
Seattle.
Yeah, that what's his face? Who made a great appearance in a very funny show on Netflix as himself.
I remember
the detective show with Will Arnett where he's solving a crime.
Oh,
Yes, it was all improv.
It was improv, and he was really funny. He was so funny we can't remember his name. Beast mode.
Oh my God!
Great running
remember.
back.
Driving a listener crazy out there right now.
should have been
Sometimes
handed the
someone's
ball
punching. He's punching his dashboard, and he's screaming, "Marshawn Lynch!" There it is.
Yes.
Marshawn Lynch. All right, so that's great new words. Are there any words that we use? Anybody got a word you use like in your family? Like, is there a family word or a word you use that isn't really a word? And I'll give you an example of one. This goes way back. The Gormans, going back to the 70s, we would call people scrubs. Man, that dude's a scrub. And that was way before TLC had that song, way before anyone else we knew used it. And it came from my brother's college basketball coach, who just called someone a scrub in practice one day, and my brother thought it was so funny. But that's one of those words that have bounced around. But for a certain sector of the public, that was a Gorman family word. Like, look at that scrub over there. We got full credit for that one. And then the song came out, and I was like, well, I guess that was over. We had a good long ride with Scrub Dog, pure scrub material. That's how we would look across the soccer field. Look at them scrubs, pure scrub material. It is a really good word. You know who's not a scrub on any level? Ann Wilson, the singer for Heart, who is not only one of my favorite rock singers of all time, she's pretty much one of everybody's favorite rock singers of all time. She's still out there delivering the goods on a very regular basis. I saw her last year in Nashville. It was mind-blowing. She's got new music coming out. We're going to talk with Ann Wilson pretty soon. That's cool. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I mean, I have literally, and I say this sincerely, I have nothing better to do than talk to Ann Wilson. I can't imagine having anything better to do. So we're going to do that in just a few minutes. Hang tight.
Holy crap, it's like surreal.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. That was, of course, Barracuda by Heart. I had the 45. I had the album. I have air drummed to that song as much, if not more, than any other song in my life. I considered myself to be the backup drummer for Heart for several years in my early teens. It never materialized, but that, hey, hope springs eternal. And I'm mentioning Heart and Barracuda right now because Ann Wilson is on the horn with us. Ann Wilson, we are thrilled to have you phone in. Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, literally any time. And, anyone who does anything for as well as and as long as you've done it deserves our respect. But when it's music and when it's singing in the way you do, Human Race Hall of Famer. Truly, it's an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you so much.
And now with a new album, Another Door, released today, with the new single "This Is Now," which we were just listening to, which sounds beautiful. There's always another door to walk through as long as you stay on the path. I guess that's a pretty easy way to look back on all that you've accomplished. But as long as you're looking forward, there's always another door, isn't there?
Yeah, and you never know what's behind the next door. Just if you're a risk taker or not.
I think that's part of that's got to be part of the charm. Just let's see what happens over there.
Yeah, for sure.
And so all these years in, you're still very much of the curious sort, and that's great to hear. I saw your band in Nashville about a year and a half ago, and it was an absolutely stellar show. Tripsitter, now you've had this group of guys. I know you, Tom Bukovac's not playing guitar on the road anymore, but you've got a great band. You've had this core together for a while. This is a real band. It's not just you and some guys in the back. It's a real thing.
That's right, and they're all guys who have reached the top of their game in Nashville, and they're anxious to not just do sessions anymore. They want to be in a band, and they want to not be beholden to anyone except us. So, yeah, we decided to go the way of bands, which is great. I've always been a band person.
Yeah, you certainly have been a band person. And Heart, of course, came up at a time when it was a bit of an anomaly or like an interesting, oh, look, it's girls and their sisters. But we've spoken before for you and your sister Nancy. It was just you didn't really pay attention to how unique that was. You were girls who literally saw the Beatles or saw whatever those early influences were and just saw the North Star and didn't think twice. Is that pretty much the case?
Yep, that's it. Just like, any other musician, you just want to play and you want to do music and you want to write songs and write lyrics and do that and go out and live life on tour, which is really saying something.
That says a lot. You want to write songs. This new album, Another Door, it says this is the first album where you were the sole lyricist, where you weren't writing lyrics with others. Is that just how it shook out, or was that a conscious decision ahead of time?
I think it was a conscious decision. I think that it's a really important role to take because the person who's talking to you in your ear, the lyricist, it's their vision, Now, musically, nothing can beat the Tripsitter guys because they really are current with their instruments and they can play anything. So the band just has unlimited potential. I'm really excited about them.
And I'd say you have an unlimited, I guess, vault of experiences and memories and lessons learned along the way, too. I mean, do you think back consciously? Well, let me ask you, your writing process, lyrically, do you find yourself referencing specific moments in time, or are you lyrically, like musically, still looking forward and just trying to explore maybe more ethereal concepts?
Some of the songs, yeah, and then some of them not. The album Another Door features all kinds of things. Like, This Is Now is just talking about being in the moment, and the song Tripsitter is just really trippy. It's kind of psychedelic, and there's just all different kinds of things that these songs talk about.
Say, Ann, we know you have this big PBS show coming up. It's Ann Wilson and Tripsitter live in concert. This was recorded back in July in Nashville with your band. It's airing on November 24th, by the way, on PBS. Can't wait to see it. Was this a show that you went in saying, we're going to tape this, it's going to be a PBS show? Or is this one of those shows where you thought, wow, that was so fantastic, we've got to get this out there to a broader audience?
Well, we wanted to do a proper shoot with, like, a bunch of cameras and stuff. So we played a concert in Nashville, and we invited them in, and they set up all their stuff, and they kind of stayed out of the way, and it was great because we didn't have to be beholden to them. They just filmed the action.
Staying out of the way, the first job of any great camera crew with a live gig.
Yeah.
Nothing. You got enough to think about up there. You don't need to wonder where the Steadicam is as you're hitting a note.
Right.
And I will ask you a question about going back to the early days. Like Magic Man starts getting some attention, I believe, in Canadian radio. You and your sister and that first band, the first lineup of Heart, as you started to sense things happening, could you have even possibly imagined 47, 48 years later you'd still be doing this? Was that even did that even seem feasible on any level?
No, not at all. Back in those days, I didn't think about anything except just getting out there and just doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a projection or a 5-year plan or anything like that. And I didn't think about career or money or anything. I just wanted to do music, and that's basically. I'm being honest here. I didn't really go about it in a corporate, business-like way.
Sure. And, it's funny you say that because I was thinking about in the early 90s, as my band back then, the Black Crowes, was blowing up, we were running with the guys in Seattle a good bit, and we would cross paths. And your name came up more often than at the time I would have expected. An awful lot of the bands of the grunge scene certainly looked to you and your sister as big sisters. You guys always stayed kind of connected to that music scene, didn't you?
Yeah, well, we're from Seattle, and so it's just a matter of it's kind of generational, but not. I mean, it's the music community as it evolves. So, yeah, and back in those years, I happened to have a house that was pretty centrally located in Seattle, so to the music scene on Capitol Hill, and so it started to be like a gathering place. And, they'd come and they'd smoke their ciggies and drink their beer in my kitchen, sitting on the counters. And in the morning, there'd be all these things laying around and
Things.
and people camped out under the piano. And
I've just, boy, young musicians could do a lot worse than to have Ann Wilson say, "Yeah, come on over, have a beer." Yeah. Pretty great times.
Yeah, right.
Pretty great time for everybody involved for sure. And the new album is out now everywhere. Another Door, and the tour, the Tripsitter tour, is continuing on. I don't see a Twin Cities date right here, but I'm assuming at some point we'll get you back to this area, and we look very forward to that. And thanks so much for the call. It is always a true pleasure to talk with you.
Yeah, and thank you for your show. You were just here a couple months ago in July. I saw you. It was amazing. Your band's amazing, and the whole event had a really nice effect on me. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You got it. Ann Wilson, all the best.
All right. Thank you.
The Black Crowes opened for Aerosmith in the summer '90, and then in August we went out with Heart. And we were at the time like, we didn't want to go out with Heart because they were very pop, and it was the These Dreams era, and we didn't think they were as cool. And we started playing shows with them, and of course, the band still rocked live, and they were putting on great shows. But the first night I went out and stood at the soundboard and started and watched the show, it was pretty funny because we were a cool band, and we were hip, and we were just starting to get some attention, and we were feeling it. Like, yeah, man, we're taking over. And I was standing with my singer, who had the requisite ego that you need to get up in an arena full of people that don't want to see you and sing, and he was feeling good, and he was a great singer in his own right. And we stood there and watched Ann Wilson sing the first time, and I looked over at him, and he just looked at me, and he just went, "What in the hell am I? What on earth?" And I'm like, "Man, that woman is belting." And he was just like, it was one of those where we were just looking at each other going, "Listen to that." Like, okay, we still all got some work to do, but especially that's a singer. I've talked to an awful lot. You said best ever singer. You get into that conversation, Zepp. Yeah. I know a lot of dudes in a lot of bands, and you start talking about singers, and then her name comes up, and everybody just goes, "Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She sounds even smokier now."
Oh, absolutely. Right. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and to hear it in a theater, that was crazy. It was just so full and beautiful. I don't know. It just made me cry.
Tom Bukovac, one of my closest friends, a great guitarist, was with her band up until this tour. He's not a touring sort. He's a Nashville music guy, and he wrote most of the stuff on this new album with Ann and did the album before. Still a big part of her thing, but he just had to tap out of the road work. And it's funny, when he got the gig with Ann Wilson, I was like, dude, what are you guys playing like Barracuda and Magic Man? And this is a guy who's he's mid-50s now, grew up in Cleveland, a rock kid. And I said, "How's that feel?" And he literally goes, "Dude, I stand on stage every night, and I hit that lick to Magic Man. Like the opening." And he goes, because I want to cry every time I get to do that. And I look over, and it's actually her. And, these incredibly accomplished people, there's certain, in the rock world, a handful of people walk in the room, and everybody just kind of goes, "Oh," and she's one of them. Anyway, love talking to Ann Wilson.
The KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.